Our County, Chapter 2, The Man on the Roof. The preceding night was quiet. Paloma did not dream, she barely even moved as she slept. It was hard to sleep in the first place, given where she currently was, and the nightly rest did not last too long anyhow, not that it was even clear how long she slept when she had awoken. There isn't a sky anymore, least of all a visible sun to produce it. Truth be told, it's a little confusing. It almost makes her wonder how everyone else here deals with that. Is time always this confusing for them? She hopes not, it feels unnecessarily cruel. But these thoughts are fleeting, and she knows they don't matter as much as the task at hand. If she's going to stay here for however long, she'll need to get a read on the surrounding area. It's just common sense, right? She had woken up looking for an excuse to get outside anyways, so this was just a helpful conduit. As Paloma moves her bed, though, a different cloth falls from the edge. Its silent slide careens into a nigh equally quiet thud on the wooden tiles below. She turns her head down to inspect as a concerned animal might, only to find a black hoodie lying front down on the ground. Her legs lazily slump out of bed, nudging the hoodie as she bends over to pick it up. Turning it around reveals a rather old-fashioned getup. Her generation had grown up on hoodies with built-in holographic designs fit for better self-expression. And while hers had been broken for some time, she was used to the light clutter inside the material as she held it, making it seem thick and fragile. But this is thinner, just a simple hoodie, like many used to wear just centuries earlier. On its chest is a large logo of sorts, presenting 3 white figures standing within a navy blue oval. And tacked onto its shoulder is a note.
Morning, Red. Hope you're a little less in the dumps. But if you are, I got you something. It's just one of our colony sweaters. Nothing much, but maybe it'd help. I know things kinda suck right now, but I'll help you adjust until we can get you home. Talk to you soon. Haven Fanning.
Wow, her full name is a send-off and everything? Paloma shakes her head with a confused smile, leaving the note on the nightstand. It's a frightening situation, all things considered, but at least Haven was trying. Or at least it looked like she was. With her upbringing, it was hard to determine whether or not it was true. Paloma's life up until this point was, in a word, disappointing. She had predominantly been raised an orphan, and it never seemed like she was anyone's first pick. Seeing children leave for their new families was just as much of a celebration as it was a time of mourning what couldn't be. It wasn't all bad, but she couldn't help but remember the negatives that were, and envy what wasn't. And now, staring at this sweater and the note that accompanied it, she couldn't help but feel just the slightest bit uneasy. But Paloma knew better. She'd find out if Haven was anyone to be trusted in time. She wouldn't have a choice. For now, she slips the sweater on, surprised to find that it's a shockingly close fit. A little tighter than her old one, sure, but this is pretty close. With her outfit assembled, Paloma steps out into the hall. The air in the hall is still cold, reminding her of a fresh morning breeze, which, considering the dome in space, is quite the marvel. Haven isn't out and about like she was yesterday, but maybe that's for the best. Less to explain as she leaves the house, right? She steps outside without a second thought, and the air outside is just as crisp, if not more. The house itself is straight out of any normal suburban neighborhood, a little old-fashioned still, but nothing out of the ordinary per se. Its navy blue walls contrast to the immediate space outside the lot. Surrounding this house, seemingly on all sides, is a ring of greenery and flowers. No wonder the air feels so natural. Paloma exhales deeply, not yet realizing until then that she had forgotten to. She leans down towards the grass, which is still wet. Each blade is still covered in a thin morning dew, just as the flowers are. Cutting through the ring are a few desired paths, stretching through the grass like paper-cutting scissors. Beyond that are cities. Homes and even buildings stretch out beyond, their architecture just as old as the house she had left. It mesmerizes her, her body freezing and her eyes doing the rest. The expanse is large, yet clearly finite, not like Earth. It makes Paloma feel just as intrigued as it boxes her in. Somehow, however artificial, this feels like home. In an odd, kind of depressing way, but in a way nonetheless. The girl's thoughts are screeched to a halt, however, as a large flutter sends a gentle brush of wind past her ears. Her eyes widen and squint as she smiles. This place had birds, too? A quiet chuckle escapes past her lips, and as she turns to gaze upon the flock, something else stands above. No birds in sight. Paloma turns completely, nearly tripping on herself as she stands upright. A wild bundle of hair lays haphazardly atop the head of a man, his scrawny build covered by a purple sweater and green overalls. Resting on his nose seem to be star-shaped glasses, completing the look of a very odd individual, but not necessarily in a bad way. He doesn't seem to be committed to anything, at least nothing that would need to happen on the roof. No, his body is relaxed. Not a care in the world from the odd man on the roof who can apparently make very convincing bird flock sounds.
Hi?
A smile visibly marks his face, and yet it falters just as quickly as Paloma notices it.
Hey! Sorry. Weird. I know. I like to stargaze in the mornings.
And you choose the roof.
Well, it is my roof, so I don't see why not.
But I thought Haven lived here.
Yeah? And? You've never seen two people living in the same house before?
The boy slips partially down off the edge of the roof, his legs dangling off as he sits. The whole movement is swift, and for a moment convinces Paloma that he was going to jump off. Her heart skips a beat.
Touché. Are you a friend of hers?
I'm a partner actually, but close enough. I'm Asen, and you're the human kid, I take it.
Human kid? Yeah, I'm one of those.
Oh, sorry. Haven told me you might not know. Here, 1 second.
As Asen props his hands back on the roof, his whole body gracefully slips off.
Oh my goodness!
Paloma thinks to herself, running forward a few steps in shock to save the falling man. But they don't drop as expected, and as she stares back up, she finds out why. Hovering above her is, somehow, Asen. Because connected to his back are two bright white wings, fading into orange towards the bottom. They land close to her, pushing her backwards once again.
What? But I don't...
Don't strain yourself.
How did you do that?
Magic.
His hands shake above his shoulders before drooping back down.
But in all seriousness, it's a lot of weird, borderline spiritual junk. I don't know the terms like Haven does, but everyone here's got a little bit of something going on. That's why we're up here.
Like, the state of soul? It's not like there was a lot to go off of. It didn't really seem like the guy knew what he was talking about, but Paloma had heard of it before. Strikingly, it was the first thing anybody had said to her since she arrived that she already knew about. It was a rumor spanning back hundreds of years, maybe even longer. It had gained scientific backing over the last century or two, though. The conceptual afterlife realized. Mainly thanks to those in hospice, if anybody at all, but it was still too complicated for her to entirely understand. All she knew was that somehow, in death, it was commonplace for humans to just evolve past life itself, to a plane of existence beyond our own. Whatever it all was, in rare cases, as some pseudoscientists would say, it would involve the body's heart vanishing, the organ itself gone without a trace. The specifics besides that was beyond Paloma's mental pay grade, and it never proved important to her besides passing knowledge, so she never looked into it beyond a passive intrigue as a grade schooler. And now, having just watched a man fly from a rooftop with fucking wings, she only wishes she had slapped more sense into her younger self over it.
But...
The cogs turn in her brain, so fast that they'd burst if they were real.
living people can't have that soul stuff. You get those when you die, right?
Living humans can't have souls.
Asen snaps their fingers.
Haven did some sciencey stuff to us years ago, so everyone on the ship's a little bit of something else now.
He shrugs, as if this isn't a mind-blowing revelation to anyone else involved. Though it does explain the darkened eyes.
We're both talking about the same person, right? Haven doesn't strike me as very sciencey.
Well, if anyone has surprises, it's her. Trust me, I would know. Anywho.
A single swift flick of his wings shoots the man back up, his feet gracefully touching down on the rooftop.
You want to join me?
Following the strange man up the rooftop to stargaze seems out of left field, but why the hell not? He offers his hands as they dangle down from the rooftop, which Paloma awkwardly accepts. Her body flails lightly like a rag doll as she kicks her legs up to the roof. He's surprisingly strong, she'd give him that. The roof is sturdy, clearly fortified for something like this. The shingles are stuck in nicely, and the roof overall doesn't alert the sirens in Paloma's mind, so she lets it be, trying to find a comfortable seat at this angle.
That's the one thing I still like being up here. The stars never get old.
How did you guys even get up here?
That'd be Haven again. She must have put us up here like 170-something years ago now. Some kind of social experiment, now that we had undergone our science-y surgeries. We were supposed to be back in 2056. Something went wrong, communication cut, and we never left.
Wait,
Paloma's eyes stay on the stars, but her mind wanders.
how old are you guys?
Haven's 208, and I'll be 207 in July. Yeah, most of us are pretty old though.
That's crazy.
The girl's fingers run through her hair.
I don't even know how that would work. Like, where that would start.
Science. Not too different from magic. Funny how that works, huh?
Man. Paloma sits in silence. If this morning alone were to consist of any more mind-boggling exposition, where else would she even go with her day afterwards? The newly collected information swims through her head as if it were picked up by a violent current, and the way that the waves crash into each other scrambled the young girl's mind in a way she hadn't felt before. It's simple enough, Asen does a good job of that with what seems to be a genuine lack of knowledge, but man. They sit in silence, pondering the stars together. They twinkle, but like a cloud in the sky, they never move. Asen fidgets with the shingles, flicking at their odd, flaky texture with their fingers. Without moving his eyes from the expanse above, he chuckles.
I'm just now realizing that's a lot of shit to be dumping on a child like you at this time of day.
It was gonna have to happen at some point, right?
Haven wouldn't hear the end of it if I waited more than another day, I'd take it. I mean, could you imagine if this just never came up? In like 2 weeks, you'd be so confused on your way out.
I guess so.
An awkward yet louder chuckle ebbs out past her lips, with her hand instinctively trying to cover her mouth.
Well, anywho, the sun should be rising right about now. Do you want to head back in?
Without thinking, the young girl nods. She glances out at the stars one final time, and before she knows it, or even really wants it, her new acquaintance brings her down. And as the two walk past the grass that Paloma had started this tiny adventure with, it feels just a bit less depressing. The lawn is still wet, now brought brand new life by the winged man from the rooftop. Hi guys, it's Alex from the editing bay. This is just me talking, so I'm not going to worry about, making no noise or anything. So if you hear any clutter going on in the background, you know why. Thank you guys so much for, watching the entirety of our County Chapter 2's audio read. And let me say, I am so sorry that it took me so long to get this out. I mean, it's been like 7 months. It should not have taken that long. You know that, I know that. I think 2025 has just been a bit of a rough patch for all of us, and that includes me. So I'm not going to act like I had some crazy arbitrary thing that genuinely stopped me from doing this. I think I've just been in a bit of a creative block, so to speak. But that is starting to come to an end, I think, and I hope that means that I can start churning out more of these with more, gumption, so to speak. So over the course of July, I'm going to begin production on chapters 3 and 4, their audio reads, and I'm also going to be recording more audio and producing more short-form videos with Construct and Poet, because, dude, it's been a while, I gotta get my act together, I gotta start doing stuff. So, I know I say this a lot, and I know it becomes harder to trust me every time I say it, but I promise you, stuff is coming. It's just a lot of stuff that I'm not comfortable sharing yet, but I promise, things are happening, and I'm really excited to do them. So, once Art Fight is over, and my commissioners are in a better place to take artwork, real progress on the things that I want to show off to you guys will begin prim and proper, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like. No pressure.